We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We have Dr. David Seaman back with us, author of the Deflame Diet book and Weight Loss Secrets, and let's see, the Breast Health and Cancer Prevention book. David, welcome back. We're not going to be talking about health and nutrition today. We're going to have a little fun tonight. He's already grinning.
Well, we might do a little bit just because when we go over a certain person and his nutrition buddies that are perhaps not so
Factual.
as factual and intellectual as they like to be.
You want to tip your camera down just a little bit more, so
Sure.
you look like kind of in a lowrider there. We just need like
Is that better?
Yeah, good.
All right.
So, well, anyway, I'm excited to get the show going here. We're going to be discussing why the intellectual dark web is not very intellectual, and we have our favorite intellectual dark web co-conspirators that come up in any search in the intellectual dark web, and those are, where did I put that website? Here we go. We've got, of course, Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris. We've got Eric Weinstein, Michael Shermer, Brett Weinstein, Eric's brother, Joe Rogan, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, Douglas Murray, Godsod. He's emailed me before, which is pretty funny. And he sent me some video of his, and he asked me what I thought, and I told him it looked like two socialist clowns sitting there, pretending that they were intellectuals. And let's see, Heather Hain, all of these, Ian Hirsi Ali, there's Sam Harris there. We got Majid Nawaz, Christina Summers, but this group of people...
Are you going to pull that up? That's the New York Times article. Can you screen it?
It should be showing on the YouTube channel there.
Okay.
You may not be seeing it, but if we want you to see it, I guess you should share screen. That might be easier. Do you want?
How do I? But you have
on the bottom of the screen here. I'm showing everybody on the bottom of the screen here. There's a green up arrow there that says share, and so you can share screen there. But let's dig in, Dave.
Sure. Let's do it. So. First thing you want to do is show the definition of what intellectual is. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you see me?
Okay. Yeah, just a little bit of a glitch here. Okay, so as long as they can see it, that's
okay,
fine.
Let me just pull that up here, and it's also in the show description for today what the definition of intellectual is. And here I'm pulling that up right here. There we go. And of or relating to intellect or its use, development chiefly guided by intellect rather than by emotion or experience. Rational. Requiring use of intellect, giving to study, reflection, and speculation. Engaged in activity requiring creative use of intellect. So,
that's the most important one. That last one is the most important one, a creative use of intellect, to be able to dissect information and to have a different vantage point of it. So what you brought up was a New York Times piece. So why would the New York Times?
Actually, I was showing the dark web there, but I'll bring up the intellectual dark web here, or the New York Times piece. So there it is.
Yeah. So the New York Times is as mainstream as it gets, right?
Yep.
So why would they shine light on this, this cabal of intellectuals who are challenging the status quo?
Quote unquote, air quotes, right? Challenging.
Yeah.
They are the status quo, actually. They are, Michael Shermer here. But yeah, they're all, I'm kind of giving it away, but pseudo-intellectuals, essentially. And
I mean, they're all smart guys and lots of smart people. If you take the whole political ideology out there with the fake left and right paradigm that we already talked about, and the Republicans and Democrats who fight, but they're really basically on the same team. I mean, there's nothing really intellectual about siding with those people at all. So, and the most bizarre thing, if you pull up the definition of a politician, I mean, you look at that second definition, you're like, why would you want to side with any of these guys? I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And Jordan Peterson, and I know at least two people have handed him my paper, Spies in Academic Clothing, and and he took over Leary's job at Harvard, and he was up at the oh goodness, here, let's just pull the database over here. He was up there at the where is he? Jordan Peterson, alphabetical order here. Here we go. He was up there at McGill University up in Toronto, which is another MK Ultra school, and so there's plenty of bad stuff going on over there. But then he takes over Leary's job at Harvard, and Leary was one of his key influences there. But anyway, go ahead.
So I just pulled up the.
Check out here's a photo of Rogan, Sam Harris, and all of the intellectual dark web people chilling out together over dinner. And just for disclosure, folks, before I was on Rogan's show in 2011, I was friends with the guy for 8 years. I mean, my channel has been shut down twice ever, and since like it was launched in 2006, and both times were due to Rogan.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Once was earlier this year.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
then this will be. So this will be.
Well, this year was actually the live feed was shut down. So, but way back in 2011, my channel was shut down for a month and a half or two for posting my own interview with him.
So I just pulled up the YouTube channel. See if you can just pull up that article with the intellectual dark web real fast to see if it shows.
You talking about the New York Times article?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you want me to show it on screen? You're saying?
Yeah. Okay, show me
yeah.
so people know.
Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already kind of scrolled down the whole article there. So
perfect.
Go.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So I just want to make sure I could see this stuff because it really is helpful. And you also have to look at how they shaded this whole thing. Like they're just these anti-establishment, non-status quo thinking characters that like emerge from the darkness to guide us to wherever they're planning on guiding us. I mean, it's just sort of mind-boggling to me when I look at that. It really is sort of shocking. So I'll just define the definition of a politician, because these guys go all into politics, right? If you look at that article that you have pulled up there,
I just moved it. Let me pull up the definition of politician here.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they in that article, they argue fervently, disagree, and then they go into the Weinsteins and Brett and his wife. They're ardent Bernie Sanders supporters, and Sam Harris is an ardent Hillary supporter. And I'm not suggesting that anyone should be ardent any politician supporter, because when you pull up the definition of politician, you see what they are. It's just absolutely bizarre.
A person who acts in a manipulative and devious way, typically to gain advancement within an organization.
Yeah, so let's be an ardent supporter of a politician. I mean, how is that, intellectual and involve deep thinking?
Especially, a communist like, the Bernie Bros, it's like you have to be, I mean, that's the antithesis of intellectualism.
Well, even if you look at, say, Shapiro, who, is a conservative, when we looked at the last talk we did, when we defined government in terms of power, well, socialists, conservatives, they're all left-wingers in terms of power, because they're always appealing to government to do more stuff for them. So that is by definition by definition, I mean, say a left-winger in terms of political power. So they don't even think about it. And Joe Rogan actually didn't understand what a liberal or a conservative actually was, or what a liberal actually was, until I think Jordan Peterson explained it to him. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It really is. So you want to cruise into some of the Rogan madness with the
Babe.
Yeah, the Psy Babe. I'll tell you, Rogan has some really sharp people on his podcast. Like he interviewed Robert Sapolsky, and Robert Sapolsky is probably the premier stress researcher in the world, or at least certainly in America. So he is absolutely intensely legit. And then you have Rogan pulling up on his or inviting on his show this girl who calls herself Psy Babe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Here we go.
yeah, so if you're legitimately Psy, then you should have a science background, right? You should absolutely have a science background. And when I looked into her a little bit, it turns out that she has been a regular speaker at the National Atheist Conference, which is an interesting. There she is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that just means that. Well, and you can tell that. Never mind. But that just means that they don't grasp logos, right? I mean, so. Oh yeah, we got here, but we're going to promote. What we're going to cover this later on. But like Sam Harris too, they don't grasp logos. They don't get that truth is God. They don't actually study the Bible and what it says, and they go with the idea that God is this guy floating in space on a throne, and that's their, the foundational grasp of what they think God is. It's not truth. It's not natural law. It's not, the creative force. And then they'll come up with like the multidimensional universe theory or something like that, and then they'll say, well, we're living in a program now. Somebody created our program. It's like, okay, so you're a theist, right?
yeah, it's absolutely bizarre, particularly when you start looking at what that guy Dawkins says, where he doesn't believe in the God that's in the Bible, but he does believe in some alien God. It's just like, or an alien-like God. It's
And then
absolutely
and then we need to have cannibalism, and promote my former co-host, right?
yeah. What's the cannibalism part? I don't.
Oh yeah. So let me see if I can find that here. Shoot, tell me his name again. Jeez, now it slipped my mind.
Uh,
The one,
Cannibalism. I don't.
the one
Oh,
that.
Dawkins.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Richard Dawkins and cannibalism.
I didn't know that. Well, I don't know a lot of stuff. I only know what I know. That's all.
So here, Dawkins wants to eat human meat, March 6, 2018. So, I mean, obviously this guy is, he doesn't believe that truth is God, doesn't believe, anything. When you don't get the truth is God and you're on the left-hand path, the next thing you're going to do is promote bestiality, cannibalism, pedophilia should be legal, etc. So Dawkins is this is National Review. Dawkins wants to eat human meat.
It's unbelievable. Oh my God. Oh man. So head over to Cy Babe's Wikipedia link that I sent you.
All right, let's see.
That
here.
will be a good thing to look at.
Good grief! What am I in for here? What do you got me in here?
Well, you're just going to see. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you look at her at her background, she's got a bachelor's degree in chemistry and then allegedly a master's degree in chemistry. But she had to go to England to get that one. Now, why would you go and get a master's degree of chemistry in England when you can get one much cheaper in the United States? So that's always suspicious to me. And when people like default to like, I got my degree in some foreign country, which seems a little bit odd. And even a guy like Shermer, if you look at his science degree or his PhD, it's not an actual research, it's actually in the history of science. So these people are not technically scientists. So when you look at her page, you can see there that image of her is her talking at the National Atheist Convention. And I understand why people choose to be atheists because embracing some mystical, non-physical thing is, it's difficult to conceptualize. So I understand it, but to be so sort of angry about it and so hardcore about it. But the thing about that strikes me is that when you look at so many of these people who get propped up, where did she come from? She has no science background at all, and she calls herself Cy Babe. So if you go to first of all, go to that medium.com article, this because this chiropractic chick, she just got really mad, and because Cy Babe writes this article called "Chiropractors Are Bullshit." Yeah, And so,
And
and
here's
so,
a chiropractor calling BS.
Sci Babe is neither a scientist nor a babe.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So, so that of course got no play because like she apparently is being propped up.
Of
But here's
course. Yeah, of course. That's how media works for those,
yeah,
I mean, we get that. I've been in media for 11 years and I get how all of that stuff works,
yeah.
you know that as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's important to actually show your audience, and if any of these characters do tune into this, just to say what was said in that Medium article, where she's not a scientist. Well, how do you prove or demonstrate that somebody is really not a scientist? Well, you simply go to a website called pubmed.gov. So you just go to pubmed.gov.
And then let's type in what's her name again? Shoot.
It's a tough one to spell. I'll spell it for
Here,
you.
I'll copy it off of the other page
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And
So
so, and it's not just medical, but is this going to show any scientific articles?
I don't know if guys like
Oh, zero search results.
there you go.
what about
Wait, 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 wait. The way you search this though is you never search with the first name, so you want to get rid of her first name.
All
And
right. Let's give her a
you,
fair shot.
this is actually very, very important. Yeah, absolutely. So you take that away and you just use
Okay.
her last name, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So there's detriment B, that not Y. There's
Right.
R.
Okay.
There's A
So
G B
yeah.
G L. So none of these are actually her.
So what you do to identify if the person is actually a scientist is you go back to the top.
Wait. Let me check. Dr. Seaman.
No. Wait. First finish her though, and we'll do May. No. We'll do May, but first go back to her though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now put Y. Pull that back up.
Okay.
Now put Y after her space, and then Y after her last name.
Okay.
Then that gives
Oh,
her.
snap. All right.
Now click return, and you get nothing.
Yeah. Well, it shows
So
zero, so zero
so
results.
so that is her name in the U.S. government scientific website. There's nothing there. And if you go to her Wikipedia page, you should show, if you're a scientist, you should have your scientific papers at least somewhat listed there. A couple of them, so and so, she wrote this, that, whatever it is, and there's nothing there. It's just like media stuff. It's very similar to Sam Harris, as we'll see in a little while. As a prelude, Sam Harris is characterized as Sam Harris neuroscientist. Well, if you're a neuroscientist, that means that you are like an avid publisher. That's what a scientist is. So you put his name in there, and there's way less than me. Put me up there just because you want to check me. You
All
should.
right. All
See
right,
if
let's
I'm
go back.
full of crapola or not. Yeah, you check it and you see.
All right, let's see.
So you got to go to PubMed. Yep. And you just put my last name first.
Well,
By
I put
itself.
Seaman D.
Yeah. Well, then you're gonna get all my papers. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
No. Yeah. Okay. No. Wait. It's perfect here. This is really, really good. So you see, just Seaman D is just my first initial, right?
Yeah.
So there are like 79 papers there.
Right.
Okay. So if I wanted to pad my deal, I would just go around saying I'm Dave Seaman. Like Sam Harris goes, I'm Sam Harris, as opposed to my research name is Samuel B. Harris. He uses Sam Harris. No legit scientist does that. So now put R after the D.
All right. 20 results.
That's it. Those are all mine. So I'm the only Seaman DR in PubMed. Now, I don't call myself a scientist because I have respect for scientists, and those guys work their asses off in labs and writing grant proposals. And it's a brutal, brutal, tough life. The whole publisher perish deal.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've written more of those. They're just not all on PubMed. I probably have about 30 papers total written. So now if you, I sent you that link, that Cairo.org link. Can you pull that up? Because Rogan had her on to bash Kairos because he allegedly had a bad time with Kairos. So this is an article that I wrote, and it wasn't listed in PubMed. You can see the title of it: Philosophy and Science versus Dogmatism in the Practice of Chiropractic. And that was 1998, when she was probably, I don't know, 10. So she makes
look at that. Dr. David Seaman.
Yeah. So that's my paper that I wrote from back in 1998. So there's been lots of chiropractors who have written about upping the scientific integrity of DCs. So it would make much more sense for Rogan to have someone on. It doesn't have to be me, of course, but someone who actually would speak to it from a, the Cairo world perspective, rather than some hack who's never published a science. I mean, really, what she is she's basically sort of a female Bill Nye.
Well,
Well, think about it. I mean,
Bill Nye is out there promoting, transgender and all as scientific
yeah,
fact these days.
yeah. Bill, listen, these are all smart people, but Bill Nye only has a bachelor's degree. So why would you call him the science guy, right? You would never call me the science guy. I mean, I've got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, but I wouldn't call myself like the sci dude, or something like more like if Detremont was a guy, she'd probably call herself the size stud, and have not a single publication in existence. So there's a whole much better there's a much better way to critique the problems with Carl. Like what happened with Rogan was, he allegedly, because this is how he described it, he went to a guy many times. He had pain down his arm, like his elbow, and he had classic nerve tension signs, which means that you need to do something to reduce nerve tension. And he just got manipulated, momentary relief, and then it came back. And therefore, all DCs are full of shit, according to Rogan.
Right.
It was interesting.
And I've had some severe back problems between my T7 and 8, and went to a chiropractor a number of times and got it worked out. But it was a chronic pain because, as you know, I spent 15 years puking my guts out, and the nerves between T7 and 8 are connected to the gut. And that's where the chronic pain in my back was. So after, keeping that popped out, regularly and taken care of for several months, the chronic pain finally went away after many years.
Yeah, so that's not an uncommon outcome. You get manipulated and you get nice. I mean, that's why there are DCs at the VA. There are DCs that travel around with professional teams, because these guys all know. So like, why would Rogan go after Kairos? You got to like, why would he do that? And then when you look at the non-psi person's article, she hammers 3 Kairos who are kind of like, I mean, they are definitely make claims that are inappropriate, but 2 of them are pretty hardcore nutrition salesmen. One of them is shockingly successful selling supplements, and he also gets into the whole ancient nutrition paleo thing. And a couple of Rogan's good buddies are fake paleo scientists.
And you and your friends are the original paleo guys.
I'm not at all.
Well, your buddy, but yeah. What was his name?
Yeah, go back to PubMed, because this is actually what we'll do is we'll show this.
Did I just close that? Okay, wait.
Yeah, keep the PubMed thing open.
All right, here we go. So PubMed, and then what's his name?
Cordain, Cordain, and then just L, Cordain.
Okay, there we go. And we've got 66 articles.
So now you see Cordain. So I asked him, I said, dude, how come, I don't know if I said dude, but dude, how come he's in the 10 science. I wouldn't call him dude, but between us and all the other people who might listen, I go, dude, how come you just have L? I mean, he goes, well, I'm the only L Cordain in PubMed. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. So maybe he doesn't even have a middle initial. It doesn't make any difference for a guy like that, because he is findable by Cordain L. So let's do a little bit more fun, since Rogan spends all this time, and I forget who it was, but one of your ex-buddies, they're like all over like Onnit being this thing, the Onnit stuff that sponsors. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, ayahuasca retreats and.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but can you pull up that paper on Alpha Brain and show
where is that?
That's the article I sent you that I highlighted. So that's part of the nootropic stuff. It's called
randomized double-blind placebo one.
That's it. Pull that up. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So everyone can see it. And
here, I'll just cover my face while you talk here.
Okay. So
I got a face perfect for radio anyway.
Okay. So let me just kind of blow this up a little bit so I can see it better myself. All right. So you got to so they have this product that Onnit developed, or they picked it up from some private labeler. And so if you scroll, so you can see Alpha Brain is what Rogan said to actually the non-psi person. Oh yeah, well just with all blah blah blah, Anna has this double-blind thing, statistical significance, blah blah blah. There it is. Scroll down a little bit more, and let's look at the graph a little bit more. And you scroll down, so you can see further.
This one or more?
Further down. Yeah, you want to see the graph that they show.
Okay.
Improvement on. Yeah.
Oh,
She
here we
wants,
go. Got it.
okay, let me see. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you can see what they did here. So this to me is supremely disingenuous. So you see, so you can see 11 to 13. I think that was word recall, and they said day 15, day 5, and you can see on it the alpha brain is blue, placebo is green. Now, to an untrained eye, that looks pretty amazing, but you have to look at the numbers and realize that, well, they forgot 0 to 10, so that was out of it. And who knows how high it goes. I've spent a lot of time actually looking for this. It's called the California, I forget what, California verbal something or other. Because it's not my domain at all. But it may go as high as 17 or 19 or 20. Let's just call it 0 to 20. It could be 19. I saw one for 19. So if you drop the blue down to 11, then you see that the on-it improved memory recall by basically 1.7 levels of improvement, 1.7. So if they had it, the whole scale up there showing 0 to 20, it would look like nothing at all. Now, don't move that. You can see discussion. It says results of the 8-week study indicate modest improvement. There it is, to verbal. There you go, modest improvement. Now, when scientists say modest, that often means statistically significant, perhaps, or statistically significant, but not clinically relevant. Now, scroll down a little bit further. Scroll down so you can get to the conclusion section.
Here. Is this where you have a highlighted here?
Yeah, I don't see the highlight. There you go, right there. So look at that. While small, so what this is a statistically significant shift based upon whatever criteria they created, but it was small, which means it is clinically irrelevant. Absolute BS. This is just how scientists can BS people. While small, now actually these guys are being honest, but Rogan thinks that this is a great success. You take on it, and I mean you take your alpha brain and you remember all this stuff, and you can see the scale difference. It was basically nothing. So this is, Joe Rogan trashing chiropractors like, well, where do they learn about nutrition? Now, I can tell you this much. When it comes to all healthcare professionals, whether it be MD, osteopath, nurse, physical therapist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, not a single school has a course about how to manufacture and design supplements. That is an industry that does not exist in terms of education in the educational world. So it's kind of mind-boggling that he goes after DCs when in fact, now you think about an acupuncturist. Do you know how long it takes to get an acupuncture degree?
How long? 6 months or a year or something like that?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. So 2 years in acupuncture school, what do you think you learn there? How to be an acupuncturist, right? You don't learn how to be a nutritionist. So the mother of the guy who started on it is an acupuncturist. That's okay, because they have no training. But DCs, well, that's terrible because they're just DCs.
And you've only got 20 articles on PubMed.
Right.
So and they have none, but you're 20, and then they got. I mean, that makes you significantly irrelevant because there's 100 million articles on PubMed. So.
Yeah, well, I am irrelevant, really, in the end. But these people make themselves out like they are just the cutting edge of the intellectual whatever. So let's have some more.
That's your ugly mug on the back, right?
That is my ugly mug on the back, yeah. And behind that, is a big. I'll show you another one of Rogan's buddies who he promotes big time. So one of his paleo buddies, his name is Rob Wolf. Just Google in a search, put down Rob, so ROBB Wolf, Amazon, and then you'll be able to pull up his Amazon page. And just for kicks, I'm going to show you, how it is. Now, this guy is smart. He claims to be a scientist, but he's not. So you're going to get it right onto his Amazon page.
Yep.
No, you want, actually, sorry, Rob Wolf, Google search author, Amazon author. That's
All
what you
right.
want.
Yeah,
Actually, click by Rob Wolf there. You probably get, oops,
where is that?
you just Google, sorry, Rob Wolf, or just click on his name there, by Rob Wolf.
Oh, got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Here we go.
so that may take it. Yeah, there you go. And you want to read more about his about Rob Wolf. And you can
New
see how they
York
kind of,
Times best-selling author. That's always a
right.
red flag, but never
Oh
mind.
yeah, but then look what it says there. So former research biochemist. Now, typically biochemists who are researchers, they have papers published. He doesn't have any. And then you can see, and is regarded as one of the world's leading nutrition experts. Really?
Wow. So
Now,
wait. So are we going over to PubMed now?
no, we're sticking there. I can
Ah,
just tell
all
you.
right.
Well, you see, the thing, if you put his name in PubMed, you're going to get 3,700 papers. If you just put Wolf R. But you see,
Okay.
once again, uh, if you're to put Wolf R with the middle initial, you would find him. But all these guys that I can tell, as far as I can tell, except for a guy like Lauren Cordain, who's the only one, um, they kind of mask behind a little bit. Now, don't go too far down yet. Go back
Okay.
up a little.
All right. All right. All right.
I want to show you one more thing here. And you can see where he says, Wolf has functioned as a review editor for the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism and the Journal of Evolutionary Health. Well, the Journal of, remember I said people who, as far as I can tell, who are not as powerfully scientific as they say. So the Journal of, they go to school in foreign countries. Well, the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism is out of England, London. So I was working on this piece for a paleo kind of history review, and so I said, well, let me see if he actually was a review editor. So I emailed the journal, and they emailed me back saying that they never heard of him. And then you got to pull it back up again, just because I want to. I mean, it's just too much, man. Now the thing is, though, tell me all these guys who Rogan has on, they've helped people because what are they told? Eat more healthy, right? I mean, eat less crap, eat less sugar, flour, and all that business, and eat more vegetation. Don't run away from animal fats. I mean, that's all good advice, but I mean that anyone can say that, and you
Right.
don't want to say.
I've been saying on that on the show for how long? 9, 10 years now.
Yeah. So does that make
I've
you a
got,
leading?
I've
the
got,
world?
I've had thousands of emails from the audience telling me thank you for saving their lives. I've had people send me pictures that they lost, 200,
Right.
300, 400 pounds, etc.
Jan Irvin, one of the leading nutritional researchers in the world. Pull that back up.
All right.
So here's how you can really kind of tell that people who say they're scientists when they're not. If you look at the next journal that he was an editor for, the journal.
Specialty health.
No, the Journal of
Oh,
Evolutionary
okay.
Health.
There we
Now,
go.
in that, go back up. Journal of Evolutionary Health.
Yeah. It's just
Okay,
there's a delay there.
okay, yeah. So just highlight Journal of Evolutionary Health and then copy it.
All right.
And then put it in
PubMed.
No, you want to just go right to the Google search field, but you got to get health.
You don't mind that if I use DuckDuckGo, right?
Dude, definitely watch out for for those who are watching you. DuckDuckGo, perfect. That's fine.
All right, here we go.
So when you look at this, remember he said that he was an editor for the Journal of Evolutionary Health, and there's no such journal.
Here's a Jevo Health journal right here.
Right. But see, that is Journal of Evolution and Health.
Oh,
it's not the Journal of Evolutionary Health.
I stand corrected. You are right. Well, there's the Journal of Ancestral Health. Isn't that close enough?
Well, that's not what he says that he was an editor of, so it's not relevant. So here's how I kind of like figure out if someone is legit or not. Is I just look at what they say, I go check it out, and you see. Again, that's not to detract. Again, like all the people that you helped and he has helped, but he's not a scientist, and he characterizes himself as a scientist. And another one of Rogan's buddies who he promotes, his name is Chris Kresser. So go to PubMed real quick and put in KRESSERC. KRESSERC. Yeah.
Here, let's here. I don't, just so the audience can see that we're clicking the search button here. Here we go.
There you go.
All right, here we go. We got it.
Okay. So now you see what they did there? This says showing results for Kemser C.
Right.
Search
So
instead.
so it's Kremser, not Kresser.
So click on Cresser C. You see you slide over there?
Yep, got it.
Yeah, and we'll see what's there. Let's see who that is. Now, so you can see, so is this Rogan's friend or not? Now that's Kremser again.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, we're actually okay. We're fine there. So here's how you find out if someone's a BSer or not. Now I'm not saying
this
like,
is Kresser CT.
right, exactly. So now click on author information.
All right. Harbor UCLA Medical Center, Torrance.
Yeah, that's not him. See, he's an acupuncturist. He's not a pathologist. So so Rogan's two primary paleo guys, and the reason why I have issues with those guys is because they basically, Cordain came up with it, and then they have sort of kind of, well, they've sidetracked it in terms of research compared to what it actually is. I mean, paleo is about looking at what people ate based upon their geographic location. It's not about counting macronutrients or anything else like that. So you can see pretty clearly that Rogan's scientific friends, or those who claim to be scientists and experts, actually have no scientific cred
Now,
at
like
all.
Tyson, if you look him up, he's an actor on IMDb.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll get to him too. But this is
Okay.
you'll be able to,
I don't want to give too much away yet.
you'll be able to play those pieces, right? Because they're really hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, Rogan's had my channel. Do we risk it? I mean,
Oh, listen, I don't listen. Don't risk anything if it's gonna be an issue. I just can't
but
believe you.
we've got the Rogan and Shermer thing in the next link here for the show notes. You wanna? I'll at least pull
Well,
it up, so
yeah,
people
you
can
can just
see what
show
it
it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
here, let's
so
see. So flat earthers, but tell us what the story is here, and then people can check that link out. And I think
if they
that is
want.
linked down in our show notes for tonight. But go ahead and talk about that.
So I forget when I heard about this whole flat Earth thing, and it was kind of like what, you know, and so I'm like, well, who knows if everything? I mean, lots of stuff is BS. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen it, so what do I know? And so you got to go to like, well, like what do actual scientists say? And so Rogan has on his physicist guys and his science guys, and Shermer became the skeptic guy because I mean he spent time, like I think he went after UFOs, Bigfoot, and paranormal activity.
Right, which is all like I've exposed that the CIA was doing the whole UFO thing out of like they did the Betty and Barney Hill thing out of the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and
I didn't know that.
I've been to that location a few times, but that's all, like CBS TV, and they're all there. They're prepping the whole thing. But if you read my article, "Spies in Academic Clothing," I do a whole expose on that thing.
So if your people listen to that like first 2 minutes is all they got to listen to, the first 2 minutes, and so Rogan talks about these flat earthers. They don't believe this. They don't believe that. And so Shermer's answer that proves like, well, we've known for years and years. He said Columbus proved the Earth is a globe. I'm like, really? How is that your proof? How is Columbus sailing from Europe to the Americas proof that the Earth is a ball? All it proves is that there's an Atlantic Ocean that you can go across.
Well, and you had mentioned in an email to me, what did you say that I had said before?
I forget. I don't know. We've had a lot of emails. I don't remember. But
well, you had said that that I had decided not to do a show on it because
yeah. Well,
because there's no way to. I don't have a rocket ship to prove it. Number one. Number
right.
two, it's there's so much research out there to go through, and then what people will say is, well, you're a shill if you don't cover flat Earth. No, it's just I am trying to cover all of the other cover-ups out there, and there's 1,000 other channels on YouTube covering flat Earth, and it would take an exorbitant amount of time for me to focus on this one subject. My expertise is social manipulation, social control, MK Ultra, as you full well know.
Right. So when I look at this and I think to myself, well, so here's Rogan who just, I mean, I watched one of his podcasts when Eddie Bravo went full flat Earth. He actually said, I think he said that Bravo said that he went on Alex Jones and went full flat Earth on him, and three of the guys on who's like
I know Eddie, by the way. He's a good guy.
he seems like a really good guy, and so is him like basically being attacked by Rogan and two other guys.
Always. Eddie's like their whipping boy. I don't know why he
Yeah.
puts up with it other than, money, but, it's like, wow.
Well, so you think, okay, well, what's the proof that that the Earth is absolutely a spinning ball? And so according to Shermer, it's because Columbus proved it when he sailed to America.
Well, and
Well,
he also gives a couple of examples, but, he says, satellites take, photos of the Earth, and, he had a few other examples in there, I think.
right, but to actually say that Columbus proved it, right? To say that Columbus proved it is not true at all. That is a fifth grade. Because remember, we said, well, how can Columbus sail to India or China to get the silk and whatever else, the goods, if the Earth is flat, you'll fall off. And so he sails to America, didn't fall off. They sail from the west coast of America eventually over to Asia, and no one fell off. And therefore, that proves that the Earth is a spinning ball. It just proves that you can sail there. It doesn't prove that the Earth is round. And I'm not saying that the Earth is flat or round. I'm observing what this well-known skeptic guy uses as evidence for that these poor flat earthers are so naive and looking for attention. And he defaults to a fifth grade example of Columbus sailing across the ocean blue, which requires, I mean, how much intellectual dark webbiness does it take to say, well, Columbus proved it? I mean, it's just mind-boggling. So you see, Rogan's guests are making me think that maybe the Earth is flat.
Well, it's like that guy that Rogan had on that one time, and we did a full expose of this to prove that those of us who claim that dinosaurs are a complete farce are totally full of BS, And then he cites this this location out near Bakersfield, California, where it has fossilized sharks and other animals, not dinosaurs. It's like, this guy is just going ape what because people were challenging him. But we did a show exposing the dinosaur fraud a year or two ago. I mean, it's like, there's cartoons and you get toys as a kid, and then you have this whole fake, nobody's ever seen these dinosaur bones. They're all plaster casts. When you go to the museums, these huge displays, they're all plaster casts. So, people actually think that this is a real thing. And let's see.
So I don't know if they're dinosaurs or not, but the fact that they just have plaster casts makes me question it. And so then Rogan has on
the episode is called "The Great Big Dinosaur Hoax."
Your YouTube channel is going to get shut down, man. You're like getting
dude. And speaking of, I'm glad you brought that up because, ladies and gentlemen, I was demonetized a few weeks ago, so I just
Please
put
help him.
The donation links up in the chat, and I appreciate those of you who sent donations through PayPal last week. Greatly appreciated. I'll post those again right now, but they don't like conservative, much less Christian shows on YouTube anymore. They, YouTube, Google, CIA absolutely hates free speech. Of course, Google owns YouTube. The CIA owns Google, so they don't. They want to promote Islam and Sharia law. They don't want to promote freedom of speech.
Well, I don't know about that, but here's what I would recommend to them.
I do, unfortunately.
Okay, you see, I don't know. Like that's not my domain. But here's what I would say regarding the Shermer explanation, and we'll look at Lawrence Krauss now. If they're running the show, you guys have to get better stories about how this whole thing works.
See, here's the thing: is for every 1 million or 2 million views that they get on Rogan's channel, like maybe 5 or 10 will actually try to fact check their stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So they go by sheer numbers. You know, they're not afraid of. You know, my show has been pushed out for, you know, for not going with the official line. So, you know, here we go. So people can check this out. But why flat earthers exist, you know, and of course it's one big ad hominem attack and whatnot. But
Let's see
anyway,
how far in you got to go with this. Oh yeah, you got to start at 420 on this one. So
420. That's
yeah,
not a reference, folks. So
no, that's 4 minutes and 20 seconds in on
yeah,
this.
and here.
So so basically they're kind of going after it. You know, they're going after these flat earther people, and they say that Rogan says, well, you know, the flat earthers also don't believe in gravity. And so Krauss gets like, oh, well, if you don't believe in gravity, I'm like waiting for a good, you know, scientific answer, right? Well, here is how you know that it's true, blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, if they don't believe in it, go to the 13th floor of a hotel and jump out the window.
And it's pressure, you know, it's like, okay, so, you know, why do things, you know, well, go ahead, you say it.
Well, it's just, well, it's if you look at a rock, like, so you take a rock and you put it in water and it sinks to the bottom of a pool,
It's more
you know,
dense.
it's more dense, right? No one says, man, look at that gravity, pull that rock down to the bottom of the pool. They say, well, it's because a rock is more dense. If you take a muscle,
Hey,
you know,
do you think air is less dense than water in the rock, do you suppose?
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So we know that air is less dense than water, and if rocks sink because
Hey,
of dense,
wait. Why does oil and water, they don't mix? Is this, are we? No.
I actually don't know that.
Because,
It's a buoyancy thing, right?
yeah, well, different densities
Yeah.
and
There you
pressures.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah. I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, this isn't my thing, right? So I really can't talk about this. I'm using basically seventh grade logic stuff I learned when I was like getting my
Right. Well, you know,
my,
it's like these people that think that carbon is polluting the, you know, CO2 is polluting the planet, and then you read these studies. There was one that came out last week, if I can find it. Deserts are greening because of CO2 levels. It's
oh
like,
wow.
let
So
me
you
see
have
if
to
I
really
can
think
find
like,
it.
how is it possible for, and again, like,
Yeah. Here it is. Here, let's see if we can.
yeah,
Here we go. Deserts greening from rising CO2 levels. Oops. So, I mean, you know, as every pot grower knows, you put CO2 in the ground, the plants grow more. You know, and then what happens? And then they, you know, so plants consume CO2 and they give off what is that stuff called again?
yeah,
Oxygen.
oxygen, yeah. Yeah, now like when you're asking these questions about oil, I mean, I haven't thought about that in years. I learned about it, but this is not my domain, right? So if an area is not your domain, like certainly physics is not my domain, astronomy is not my domain, and all this stuff is not my domain. But when I listen to their answers, like Columbus sailed the ocean blue, therefore he proved the Earth wasn't flat. Well, I know that's not accurate and not even remotely true. And if Krauss says, well, gravity is true because if you jump out the window from a 13th floor, you die, and therefore you prove gravity. All you do is prove that your thick body is more dense than the thin air. And if you're a muscly guy like Rogan is, and you get yourself into a cannonball, Rogan's going to sink, right?
Yeah.
If Rogan takes one of his obese comedy buddies and they go into a cannonball in the pool, they're not going to
Hey,
sink.
don't pick on Joey.
No, but I'm just saying though that he's the guy who picks on everybody.
I've met Joey. No, I'm just.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This would be a recommendation to Joe Rogan. If you question everything, well, why won't you question that? That is fifth grade, seventh grade science stuff, buoyancy, density,
Hey,
and good old
you know, Ian says man, bear, pig is real.
man, bear, pig.
It's a South Park reference. Never
Oh,
mind.
yeah,
It's like, you know, bogus science reference, and the kids get everybody chasing after man, bear, pig.
yeah. I don't know about that, but I mean, so right there you can see. So far, we've had no scientific explanation for the Earth being round for sure. If you automatically invoke Columbus, and if you automatically say jump out the window, I mean, that's not what a scientist. If you were to say to me, "Hey, Dave, how does eating too much sugar and flour and donuts, that kind of stuff, oils, create inflammation?" I say, "Well, do you mean in the moment or do you mean long term?" You say, "Well, in the moment." Well, you go eat 6 donuts. That'll be about 1,000 or 1,200 calories, and then 1 hour later, you'll be able to measure with the blood test increased inflammatory markers. So, and I can show you papers so that's how you would answer the question. You wouldn't say, "I don't know, go stick your head underneath the Sunoco machine, just slurp it down until you die." I mean, that's kind of what they just said there about just Columbus did it. And it gets even better for good old Neil deGrasse Tyson with
Uh-oh.
his, yeah, that's just amazing. When I heard this, I'm like, what?
All right, and so this is the moon landing one. So
Yeah.
I'm reluctant to show this. Sorry, we're getting a commercial here for Rogan's thing, but oh boy, yeah,
It's
I,
very short, and it's only like it's a few minutes. It's like within the first 2 minutes, I think he talks about it, and he says,
I'm reluctant to show it because of past issues with Rogan again. So
don't then.
I
Well, then get rid of it
apologize,
then.
folks. I put the links in the
Yeah. Get rid of it.
yeah. So there we go.
So, so if you, it's like the first 2 minutes in there, and he's going like his backpedaling because Rogan was like hardcore moon landing as a hoax, right?
Well, here's the funny thing is Rogan actually sent me a VHS cassette tape set of the moon landing being a total hoax back in like 2004 or so, 2000, yeah, probably about 2004 when we were friends. He's like, "Hey, check this out," because we used to talk all the time and talk about different conspiracies and cover-ups and stuff, and now Terrence McKenna and the stoned ape theory and promoting psychedelics, that's not conspiracy. But getting to the moon with a computer that was had the strength of a pocket calculator today, and not being able to replicate the concordances or whatever to get back to the moon today with all of the computing power we have, that isn't anything to question, much less the Van Allen radiation belt and what else. But I have a lot of questions about that myself.
Yeah.
And then it's like all of the film footage that we've seen is like shown from a TV screen. They're filming a TV screen showing all of this stuff. They're not showing us actual film footage. And they, the cameras were plenty advanced back then that they had for that. So why aren't we seeing all of the original film footage?
So that's a lot of stuff like that would argue against it. I am more interested in the arguments for it because see that exposes the level. Like again, what is the argument?
Well,
that
because
Shermer
the onus of proof is on them, and when you look at their evidence, it starts to crumble. Is that what you're arguing?
No, I'm just saying though that I showed you what we talked before about Shermer with Columbus, and then Krauss with jump out the window. I mean, right? Columbus jump out the window, and what does Neil deGrasse Tyson say? He goes, well, Joe, this is very simple. Now I think he was born in '58. I was born in '60, so he's only a couple of years older than I am. So he goes, well, this is really simple. He goes, all you need to do to figure out that they went there is you just look at the amount of fuel that was in the Saturn V, and then the Saturn V rocket was filled with fuel, so much fuel it had to go to the moon. It wasn't going to go to the Piggly Wiggly. I'm like, really? That's your answer? Shermer's answer is Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Krauss's answer is jump out the window. And the actor Neil deGrasse Tyson says, well, the rocket had a lot of fuel, and that wasn't to go to the Piggly Wiggly. I mean, how is this proof from these scientists who are revered out there? It's just...
Well, and he should be able to say, and, so it takes this much fuel for this many miles. The moon is this far away. We can calculate it that it was at this exact distance at this particular time. Plus, the amount of fuel to get back from the moon would be another issue, right? And, and then so this is the exact amount. Here's the NASA charts of the amount of fuel that they used to get to the moon, so we can prove that this was the amount that the Saturn rocket carried, et cetera. And we're not hearing that kind of answer. We're hearing an answer of, that it's
a grocery store.
Yeah, that it's about a grocery store.
Yeah. So I could just simply go, well, Your answer is Columbus sailed the ocean blue, jump out the window in the Piggly Wiggly, right? So to me, their answers suggest to me that well, maybe Eddie Bravo's right. So anyway,
Yeah,
those
you
are
know, I've probably suggested that myself to Eddie.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's
I mean,
like,
I don't know. I mean, like, listen, I have no idea, right? Because when you said about oil and water, I'm like, I forget. I don't know. I mean, I am a complete like. I mean, I know virtually nothing, but I do know a BS answer when I hear one,
right,
and those
exactly.
three are complete BS
And
answers that
thank you
don't
for
make any.
whomever just sent the donation. Much appreciated.
Very, very nice to do that. So this is an interesting one. This is going to like bug probably. Well, if you know if his fans watch this because he goes all around the world, I guess. Sam Harris.
Okay, so we're pulling up the first one, samharris.org.
Yeah, pull up that and you can look at his publications and lectures.
Uh-oh. You know, and I was just showing Neil deGrasse's, actors page on
Yeah, this is Sam Harris. So now again, it's really interesting. These guys, I they're very smart guys. I mean, they're smart guys, but their answers are not deeply intellectual the way you would think based upon the that New York
So,
Times.
wait, so what I'm seeing here, and you kind of mentioned this, is that his evidence of his publications are actually the lectures that he's given, not the, not,
Yeah, you can see publications and lectures. Now I can tell you the way remember he characterized himself as actually I think even the New York Times piece on the dark web it says neuroscientist Sam Harris. Well, I know lots of
okay,
PhDs.
okay, wait. Can I go into PubMed and put that in?
Yeah, please.
you're not gonna, you're not gonna say, wait.
No.
All right, so let's see here.
Yeah, this is how you test to see if he's a real scientist or not.
And what kind of scientist does he claim to be?
Well, he got a PhD in neuroscience.
Okay. And so we got Harris S. There's 3,877.
Right. So how do you parse through that one?
All right. What's his
That
middle name?
well, he doesn't use his middle name, which is convenient, right?
Right.
So I sent you the
Well,
link.
it's not double chain initiate and ribosomal peptide.
Oh no. He has 4 papers published. I mean, I have more. I'm more of a neuroscientist than him in terms of publications.
All
Well,
right.
maybe.
So what's the next breakdown?
So I sent you the link for his actual page, so you can actually see it where he has
Oh, yeah,
4.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to pull that up because I forget how I got there. It took me a few minutes, but I can't reproduce it live.
All right. So here we go. Neurocorrelates of maintaining one's political beliefs.
So those first 4 are his only papers.
Okay.
So he has 4 total papers published in PubMed. Now you also have to look at this. So you can see functional neuro, so top there, neural correlates. So I didn't read this, so I don't really know the correlates. But you see functional neuroimaging, and then you can see some more MRI stuff. So he's done some functional MRI stuff, and that may be it too. So he doesn't actually do experiments. I mean, this is not like where we're going to test this out. You're going to, in terms of, well, let's do take ginger and see if that changes brain chemistry, and they do all this deep crazy testing. I mean, it's legit neuroscience, obviously, but if you're a neuroscientist, your world is about publishing scientific articles and your scientific.
So he published one in where was that? 2010, 2008, 2009, and then 2016.
Yeah. So I have a better publishing record than that guy, and I'm not a scientist. And he's smarter than I am for sure. But and that's why people can be tricked about like how, because you listen to these guys talk, they're so eloquent and they carry on. So his name is Samuel Benjamin Harris.
Right.
And so if you were a legit scientist, putting your name in there, you'd want to differentiate yourself. So you would put Harris SB. It would be Samuel B. Harris. He goes by Sam Harris. Now, the only legit scientist that I know who only goes, I mean, I only know one guy is Lauren Cordain because he's the only L. Cordain there is. So you got 4 by Sam Harris, and then you have 3,700 by other S. Harrises, whoever they happen to be. So, and so I look at him and I think to myself, well, very, very smart guy, obviously. How did he get a book deal with a bachelor's degree in philosophy from UCLA? You think that like big publishers in New York and LA or wherever, I'm pretty sure it's mostly New York, but book publishers are going, hey, listen, where can we find philosophy majors at UCLA to write our next book? I mean, you have to have some secret mojo.
Yeah. So what would you do? You go to the set of the Golden Girls?
You go to the link I sent you. That was, you could go to Golden Girls. Yeah, just Google that.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
we're going to go to the set of the Golden Girls.
Yeah, the Wikipedia page for Golden Girls.
Here we go. The Golden Girls. Remember that, folks? The Golden Girls? There.
Yeah, so you got to go back to the top and read it.
All right. I'll go back. All right.
Because that tells a story.
Okay. Go ahead. Susan Harris. Oh, wait. So here we go. Susan Harris, American television comedy writer and producer. Huh.
That's his mother.
Oops. Okay.
So now, I mean, it's listen, if that was my mother, it would be awesome if she could get me a book deal, right?
Yeah. Sure.
But that's ultimately, I think, how people who are bachelor's degrees in philosophy or whoever. I mean, there's no way that Ben Shapiro is just going to like somehow out of the blue be this massive book writer while he's in college and get book deals unless he knows somebody.
Right.
So now, again, these are all smart guys, but it's not like this organic manifestation of this neuroscientist that's been pursuing whatever. His mother was, one of the most famous, or a famous comedy show. I mean, she developed the Golden Girls. So odds favor the fact that she got his book deal, and he's a smart guy. So he said, well, to be more legit, I should probably go get a PhD. Now, getting PhDs and bachelor's degrees costs money. So, all these people who are running around worried about all these people with privilege, I mean, he's a pretty privileged guy. He never sits there and talks about his great privilege, right? But they talk about.
Yeah, well, what about like Jordan Peterson, and taking over Tim Leary's position at Harvard promoting drugs? Huh.
Well, the thing about Jordan Peterson, though, is that Jordan Peterson is the only legit scientist in that bunch. And so that's where people who criticize him need to be careful, because
I've actually done the research on the whole background of MK Ultra and his drug promotion and stuff, and I know that he's been handed my papers at least twice, like literally handed. One of them, they actually got them handing him my papers on film and sent me the video of him accepting my papers. So I know he's got the stuff.
I saw that. Yeah. One guy went up and gave him a gift and it was videotaped.
Yeah, one was Vox Day's book, but then several of them were my articles and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that, but and we can go to Jordan next, but he's the only legitimate scientist ultimately. In that bunch. I mean, you
want to go to Ben Stein here?
Yeah, pull up Ben Stein. That's hilarious.
All right.
Can you play that one or can you not?
All right. Well, let's see here.
Listen, don't play it if it puts you at risk. And of course, why am I talking to you anyway? I'm putting me at risk. Right? What the hell am I thinking?
I don't have the audience isn't going to be able to hear that.
Okay. Well then, don't worry about it.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if. No, they're not going to be able to hear it.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
But what happens here is that Ben Stein's a very, very smart guy, and he's very cool, calm, and collected. And he basically starts talking about, now this is stuff that like I'm looking at this as a non-believer, just observer, looking for who has the best answer. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at this. So you ask a question. It's like, well, is the Earth round? Okay, Shermer. Yes, it is, because Columbus sailed to America. Well, that's not an answer. So that doesn't mean that the Earth
Ben
is
Stein
flat.
says Bueller,
Yeah, Bueller, right? But that doesn't mean the Earth is flat. But it doesn't. But it certainly doesn't prove that the Earth is round. Is my point. So that right there with Dawkins, where Dawkins is like, I mean, he is like he seems to be deeply hateful about religious people and religion in general. Like one of his books where he goes after religion was brutal. Anyway, in that particular 2-minute piece that your people should listen to, he basically talks about some entity could have created Earth, but they weren't from Earth, like a supreme being that was just evolved someplace after the Big Bang or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
that's what.
God?
So that was.
God cannibalism.
Yeah. So that was like an amazing thing to watch. And Ben Stein really just is very, very funny. He goes, I forget the exact quote, but Ben Stein goes, well, it seems like Dawkins isn't really opposed to intelligent design. He just is picky about who the designer is. I paraphrase that, and it's not what he said, but it's something like that. So again, like, is you ask these guys questions, then you get the right at the right moment, and they demonstrate that their answers are just not very sophisticated. Now, the real sophisticated guy in that bunch is Jordan Peterson.
All right.
And if you put his name, now he's a scientist, right? Go to PubMed and put in Peterson J.
All right. Let's find out if he's
So
a real scientist. Here we go. All right.
Peterson J.
Yep, we got some there.
So you got 3,000 papers. Now,
right.
So now, because Jordan Peterson is a real scientist, you just go backspace and put B after the J, because he's Jordan B. Peterson.
All right, there we go. 87 papers.
Yeah, not all are his. You can actually see, once I see it, you'll see what would be not, I can, there's, okay, so number 2. So you can see right there. So look at number 1, an orderly person.
This looks like his with political conservatism.
Yeah, hang on, I gotta get my power here. 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so number 1 is his, and you can see this was published in June, just like last month.
Right.
But then you look down below and you see bilateral tibial tubercle avulsion fracture. That's not him.
Right.
So there's more than one Peterson JB. But the point, though, is that Jordan Peterson is still
publishing.
Still publishing. So while you can criticize him for being, the Harvard guy after Leary, he is still the only legitimate scientist in that bunch. So where he falls apart, in my view, is, and he demonstrates it by saying, I think, foolish things about social stuff, politics, and the economy. So one of the things that he says is that the world's getting richer, right? The world's getting richer. So when you pull up that CNBC...
Hold on a second. I was just showing the database on screen. So McGill University, he also worked for the United Nations.
Right.
And, so he's, as far as I remember, he's a bit of a Marxist, if I recall. But he admits that he was influenced by Aldous Huxley, whom, of course, was the CIA's key guy behind the MKUltra program, and he admits that he was influenced by George Orwell or Eric Blair, whom, of course, was Aldous Huxley's student and Fabian's society member, just like Huxley was. And, so he's a Marxist, all of this stuff. But, so there he is. And then, promotes white privilege while he makes, what does he make? Like $8 million a year or something like that?
I don't know, but he's doing pretty darn well, which I don't begrudge anyone for doing well.
Right. I'm not giving him a hard time for that, but it's like, if you're going to, promote the white privilege BS, it's like,
well, he argues against.
What is that? The KY theory or whatever? That's a whole other discussion, though.
Well, but if you look at him, though, let's just say so how did he get that position at Harvard? Well, first of all, the dude, when he was getting his PhD degree, he wrote a bunch of papers. You know how many people actually write articles when they're getting their degree? Very, very, very few. So he is actually a legit scientist, as far as I can tell. But where he falls off the rails, I think, is when he starts talking about politics, social stuff, and economics.
Oh, and by the way, it was Dashing Rogue who got the put my stuff in Jordan Peterson's hands and
Ah,
videoed it. So thank you, Dashing Rogue. I appreciate that.
so
Sorry, go ahead.
pull up how financially well the world's doing.
Meanwhile, California, where the liberals run everything, has the lowest standard of living in the United States, even though the Bay Area has the most wealth. How about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. So you see, I don't know. So there you go. So is that the one I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. How is that? How is that? See, that goes against his narrative of wealth improvement. Now, maybe third world nations are doing better, but
Right. But if you go back to Leave It to Beaver days when only one parent was working and stuff,
right, it's very, very different. So, and then you look at baby boomers. Pull up that Investopedia thing I sent you. 30% of baby boomers, 55 and older, have no retirement savings. So I'm like the youngest of the boomers. So people who are like 58, 59, 60. So you can see 64, I was born in 60. So I'm like one of the youngest of the boomers. But yeah, 30% have no retirement. It's terrible. And then you can see, what was the other one that they have in there? 26%, an additional 26% have less than 50,000 saved for retirement is also in there. So clearly this narrative about how great things are doing, to me, what it looks like with these guys is that they are trying to keep the status quo going and keep like the natives from getting excessively restless. Like, let's just say that, save for Ben Shapiro, who I think is a left winger anyway, because of if you look at political spectrum in terms of power, rather than I believe in God, so therefore I'm conservative versus not. I mean, that's just foolishness. So I think that all these guys are basically lefties, and what they see is this, like, you look at this fanatical, it appears, of the left, the so-called, if you want to live in their Truman Show world, right, where everything is painted as left, right, not biblical that you would talk about. Well, all those guys are lefties, and they're like moderate, normal lefties, basically polite, nice guys. And you have the radical, crazy people who are like threatening to, like, what Madonna threatened to burn down the White House. I mean, guys like Joe Rogan wouldn't say stuff like that. So it looks to me like these guys are trying to try to help these crazy lefties who are stuck in the Truman Show to be normal lefties, and they're trying to keep the righties from getting really mad at the lefties and create a civil war. So I
Right,
think that
because the
these
lefties
guys,
want to murder babies and whatnot. So
well, yeah, it's just that I think that these guys are kind of like coming in like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse to be the cooler. You ever watch Roadhouse?
yeah, years ago, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he ended up dying of cancer. Poor guy.
Poor guy. Yeah, I think it was pancreatic cancer. You go fast when you get that one. That's terrible. So there's another one that says that, there's another CBS News that says that just 57% of Americans don't have $500 saved up for an unexpected emergency.
And
I mean,
that's 2017, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you look at what he says, it's like everything's great. Everything's great and getting better. Well, according to standard mainstream news, it's not even remotely accurate.
Right.
So I think he's really off there, and he's off when it comes to like characterizing. He's always about like, we know when the right goes, living in his Truman Show world, we know when the right goes too far. We don't know what happens when the left goes too far.
Oh,
Really?
sure we do. Yeah, I mean, we
But that's what
have the
he
Soviet
says of it.
Union, China,
Right.
Laos, Vietnam,
Yeah.
Chile, Peru, Cuba,
Right.
Venezuela, Brazil.
Right. So, but to reduce world politics, social stuff down to, we know when the right goes too far, they start to like nationalize, feel disgust. Because if one of Jordan Peterson's most recent paper is disgust, and he supposedly studies totalitarianism, right? And he knows and he actually knows a lot about like the whole Kulak thing in communist Russia with Stalin. I mean, Stalin was called, Uncle Joe, right, by these guys. So one of the things that so if you Google Anthony Sutton or
We
it
got to
says
stop
Anthony,
using that word. It's like Kleenex or Xerox,
sorry, man, DuckDuckGo,
Yeah, we got to duck, duck, go. What?
DuckDuckGo. Well, that link I sent you on Anthony Sutton.
I don't see Anthony Sutton here. I
So
see
then
Prager
just
in the next one.
no, so oh yeah, Prager, but then I don't have any link there. He's just talking. Oh yeah, in this Prager talk he did recently.
So,
Just hold for a second.
and
So in this
okay, and he was SRI, but yeah, go ahead.
so he's talking about Prager. Yeah, they're Sutton. So he's talking about with Prager about how it's a miracle that we can all sit in this audience and not be at each other's throats. I'm like, really? That doesn't even remotely characterize. Remember when we went over? I think it was the neuroanatomy, right? That was the first one, I guess, right? And there's a built-in system in our brains to be empathetic. So if you see
Unless you're a
someone else,
psychopath, right?
right, unless you're a psychopath. So there's a good reason why people can sit there and get along fine without at each other's throats. So he's wrong there, and he's a psychologist. He should know that. And so I think about like the biggest. I've been up in Ohio, either at the weekend, I think the weekend of Ohio State, Michigan, where these people are like, I mean, they're maniacs. These people are decked out in red and white like no one. I mean, the Ohio State fans, they are intense.
Yeah.
And the Ohio State fans, if they're hardcore, they always wear their Ohio State stuff, right? So you're in a football stadium with like 80,000 maniacs screeching for their team. And after the thing is over, do we ever hear about riots? No.
Well, what about when the stadium fell down in England? I mean, they can't sit peacefully.
Well, that's different though, obviously, right?
Those are the British, though.
Yeah. So the idea that he would say that's a miracle that we can sit here and not be at each other's throat, which is complete nonsense. It's not a miracle. There's neurophysiologic reason, neuroanatomical reason why we naturally don't want to be at each other's throats, because basically, in the end, it's almost like that "don't tread on me" flag. Hey, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
I
problem.
just found the link that you wanted. So
yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. So here is a little bit more detail than just for no reason Hitler decided to do what he did. So here's Wall Street and the rise of Hitler. Now slide down a little bit.
Okay.
And look at what else Wall Street was behind, according to Sutton.
The Bolshevik Revolution.
The Bolshevik Revolution.
Right.
That then led to the decimation of all those Ukrainians with the whole famine, right? So why doesn't he talk about that? Because when you look at the Bolshevik Revolution is where it all started ultimately, because that was actually it was World War I, and the Bolshevik Revolution completely changed Europe. And you see Wall Street allegedly. Now Sutton is not just some guy who is in his garage doing like research at the local library. This guy is a PhD in history, and he spent his career at Stanford
and
right.
Hoover Institute, yada yada
right.
yada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. So this guy is. You can see Wall Street and FDR. If people really want to see more of this, a chick named, she's really smart. Her name is Nomi. I think it's Nomi Prins, Prins. She has written 2 fantastic books. One is called All the President's Bankers. And then the most recent one is a take on that. So it shows a very, very different story. So when you start thinking about like what led to, the brutality of World War I or World War II, I am suspicious about the Berlin-Baghdad Railway. So check that out. Pull that sucker up.
Yeah, and just so you know, I do need to wrap it up in about 15 minutes or so. Here we go. It's up.
Okay. Yeah, we're almost done, man.
Cool.
So you can see.
Yep.
So you can see it started back in 1903. Now, do you think that now you have to realize also that back then under the Kaiser, Germany was trying to get a navy going, and they don't have oil up there, so they cut a deal with the Ottoman Empire, and they started to build their railway. Almost nobody knows this. This is a well-known fact in
Well, don't you know that, official history has it that Hitler and Islam didn't work together, even though they worked extensively together?
Well, this is before Hitler. So if you look
Ah,
at that,
okay.
you see 1903,
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah. Okay.
red because you see they wanted to have a connection to get oil. And when you look at like say, well, back then, think about what happened in 1900. They discovered oil in the Middle East. And then shortly thereafter is when you had the British mandate for Palestine. If you have a British mandate for Palestine, they want to control the Middle East, and the Germans are problematic. So I think that World War I and World War II, you can actually see, look what it says, 1903 to 1940.
Correct.
So they were trying to do this, and really World War II started in 1939. So if you look at it from geopolitical strategy and forget all of the different isms, and fascism, this ism, and that ism, and you just look at this Berlin to Baghdad railway, you can tell that people are wanting to get oil, and of course the Brits and the Americans and Israel that they set up actually have achieved that. So if you if you Google or just click on the next one, you can see it's actually amazing, and this is all like out in the open. It's not like some, I mean, this is shocking, actually. So pull up that Genie Oil. There you go. So there's Genie Oil, and go right there to the third paragraph. You see Genie's founder, but you've got to go down to the advisory board. So can you highlight advisory board, the second line? So go back to the second line though, where it says, no, right there.
Dick
Yeah,
Cheney, Rupert
after, yeah,
Murdoch.
there you go. So Genie's Energy Strategic Advisory is Dick Cheney, Rupert Murdoch, Larry Summers, Bill Richardson, and then Jacob Rothschild of the Rothschild banking dynasty.
Well, so then it's got to be a Jewish conspiracy, don't you know? With
Well, I think we should not bring up any jokes or anything when we look at this because people can freak out anyway.
right,
People
right.
can freak out anyway. So you just look at, and then where is Genie Energy? Well, they are, and you can actually see it is the first sentence up top there. It says conventional oil exploration project in Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, which used to be Syria.
Okay.
So if you look at the Baghdad or the Berlin Baghdad railway, they wanted to get down there and get the oil or work with the guys, and then you can see that the Brits and the Americans are not too happy about that. And so who won? Well, Dick Cheney, Rupert Murdoch, I mean Larry Summers, president of Harvard, Bill Richardson from New Mexico, and Jacob Rothschild, who is Lord Rothschild. You can actually watch YouTube videos about this guy. I mean, this guy's he's a trillionaire. And so I think that if you forget all of the different isms and thisms and thatums and name calling and just look at history from the perspective of basically energy production and land acquisition, that cloverleaf map and
Yeah.
yeah. So like all that stuff goes like completely by the wayside when these guys are talking about what they're talking. So for Jordan Peterson to just make it about like Hitler was disgusted and therefore he wanted to go after the Ashkenaz, the Slavs, and the Gypsies. Well, it's a little bit more complicated because true historians will say that World War II was inevitable after what happened with World War I. And what was the outcome? Well, Brit and U.S. and Israeli control of the Golan Heights and wherever else to get oil, and certainly to have all the military bases there. So it seems much more like it's a geopolitical strategy, and all the rest of us are just basically the Machiavellian peasants who are arguing and fighting with each other about stupid stuff, as opposed to realizing that they should watch the movie, what's that, the ant movie, where you have like 15 caterpillars and you have thousands of ants, right? And that one little ant goes,
Yeah. I remember
yeah. That's all of us are ants, man.
that.
Anyway, we can stop there, but Brett
but,
Weinstein and the rest of these guys is just equally ridiculous in terms of
but we got 6 minutes left if you want to cover these last two.
yeah,
The
zip down
brothers.
to the brothers Weinstein. I mean, so the one guy's a banker. Now Brett Weinstein says he's an evolutionary biologist. Well, first of all, how many people have ever watched anything evolve from anything into anything? They always evoke evolutionary. evolutionary this, evolutionary that. And I don't know if
And
it's
then
true
they
or
have
not.
to evoke Darwin and
Right.
Thomas Henry Huxley.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. And that isn't my point. The point is that they talk about it, and they're very smart guys. They're very, very eloquent, like I'm not. And then if you go to PubMed and you put in Weinstein BS, who is Brett Weinstein?
Hold on a second.
You can see what a great scientist he is not.
Okay. Uh, sorry, I did it wrong. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Weinstein B. Here we go.
Actually, that actually is his only paper. But if you do Weinstein,
Oh, okay, okay.
that worked out okay. Now you got, but you see, oh wait, look at that. Weinstein B 440, but Weinstein BS, he's the only one.
Weinstein BS.
Nah, you said
Weinstein BS. Okay. And so when we BS,
when we BS it,
okay, there's another one here.
yeah, that's not him.
Evolutionary origins, utility of pathologic evaluation following removal of explanted orthopedic.
Not him.
Okay, so this one is the only BS that he wrote.
Yeah, that was published in 2002, right?
Right.
So if you go to his Wikipedia page, he basically had a bachelor's degree, it appears. He was teaching at Evergreen.
You don't have his Wikipedia linked here.
You could actually just Google Brett Weinstein. I'm sorry, DuckDuckGo, Brett Weinstein Wikipedia.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
An American biologist and evolutionary theorist.
Theorist. See that? Theorist. See, that's a legitimate statement because it's a theory, right? So if you look at his education, you see there, he began studying at University of Pennsylvania, smart school, because he's a very, very smart guy. He then went over to UCal Santa Cruz to hang out with the surfers, right? So then where he completed the majority of his undergraduate work. Okay, so he had partly at UPenn and then also so he got his BS degree. And then you can see it says in 2000.
So are you saying BS got BS degree?
Yeah. I'm saying that. Yeah, because well, a lot of times. Well, anyway, because you only have a couple minutes left here. So it says in 2004 he took a leave of absence from Evergreen to complete his doctorate in biology at, which is basically I think the history of biology. I think because I don't think he did any actual research. And then you see University of Michigan. So he basically was a bachelor's degree guy teaching at Evergreen, and then decided to go in 2004 and get his PhD. And so he was teaching at a college with only a bachelor's degree, and he's written one paper. Why is he out there as some like science mind that we should be listening to when he has never published anything except for that one paper?
Right. Well, but because he's got more hair than you or I.
And his hair is nice and dark and thick versus my sort of bozo looking hair as I pin it on the top. If I don't like keep it tied in the side here and keep it trimmed, I look like bozo, man.
So what if you dyed it red?
I'm going to leave it like this, dude. I'm going to just be au naturel.
Well, but then you would have even better semen jokes.
Well, we haven't done any of those, but there are some good ones. There are definitely some good ones. Shall we end on a semen joke?
You got a new one? Did you want to hit his brother first, or you want to just?
Well, there's nothing really there. I mean, it's pretty much done. Because people. And Dave Rubin's a nice guy, but again, though, I mean, these people they're not like this intellectual group. They're just basic guys who are caught in, as far as I can tell, in the Truman Show reality, and they embrace the left side of the political paradigm in Truman Show land. And I think that they're trying to basically chill out the psychos, which is good, but it would be better if they had better stories and they had.
It would be better if they gripped reality and actually spoke in terms of reality. And it'd be nice if these guys actually read the Bible first. I mean, because I've been there when I used to attack the Bible, and then I read it, and it's like, oh, this is all about truth is God, and Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, and Satan is the father of all lies, and oh, I get it now, But they don't want to deal with those simple facts, because I mean, it's like what, a 1,600-page book. most of them don't want to take the time to actually read what it says, or they go by what they learned when they were in like first or second grade or something.
That is the issue for me because I personally like if you look at the creation story, I mean that's a tough story for me to
Well,
bite off. Like,
there's more to it when you really get into it, but
okay,
we'll
but
have
I'm
to
just
leave
saying
that for
though.
another time.
Yeah, yeah, but to have either God and guy wherever he was did all this in 7 days, whatever that means, and then you have the Big Bang where we came from slime. I mean, there should be a better story, and the intellectual dark web should offer us a better story, and they don't.
Well, they
And
haven't really published any papers, so that's
yeah, except for Peterson, and he's good in his area, but not so good otherwise. Unfortunately, did I tell you about my cousin, the pilot? Because that's probably the best one.
In the cockpit.
Oh yeah, right. And me, the high jumper. I mean, those are the best ones.
Well, okay, let's give the audience the high jumper one.
Well, I stopped playing baseball and basketball because I didn't like the coaches, and I figured I could like completely fall apart or do well in track, so I became a high jumper. So the first meet I was at, they call up the first guy. You know, Smith is up, Jones is on deck, and Seaman is in the hole.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Remember that one? Yeah, and then that was just brutal. We can end on that since you got to roll. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, you're gonna have to come up with some better ones for the next time we have you back, because we
I've
still
got more of them. Yeah, I've got more of them.
we,
But
we,
you know,
we have a whole other level of research yet to expose that you and I have been talking about for a couple of months, but we're not going to give it away yet, folks.
right.
So, and it's pretty deep stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Dave, to come on again, and thank you, those in the audience who took the time to support the show. I will post the link again in the chat there for people to support the show, and also it's there in the show description. Of course, the show was demonetized, so no super chats anymore. But we appreciate those of you very much who take your time to go to the links. You can contribute on Patreon or directly at logosmedia.com on the contribute page. You can click at the thing at the top. We love Bitcoin donations as well. And so please support us any way you can. Dave, you want to give out your website?
Dflame.com, just like it's behind me. I mean, Dflame is all over Seaman here. Look at that. There you go.
Jokes, man. All right, man. Good night, everybody. Thanks for your support. See you next week. Oh, next week we have Lloyd DeYoung back. We have a fantastic episode lined up, and we're going to be going into some really deep stuff. It'll be upsetting for a lot of people, but you won't want to miss it. And yeah, so be prepared. And thanks, everybody, for participating tonight. And that's a wrap. Good night.
Night.